What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharp, and welcome to this edition of Sharp Shorts. Got a doozy for you guys today. It is about a 40-year-old homeless woman regaling us with the story of, I guess, a Tinder date. So what we're going to do is we're going to let the video play. We're going to let the video play in full. Then we're going to go back and we are going to react to it. So without further ado, away we go.
I'm 40 and I'm single and I live in a van now, so it's probably going to stay that way. But I went on a date in Santa Fe and I can finally talk about it. I walked up to the table and the guy's looking at his phone, and then he looks at me and then he looked back down at his phone for like 5 minutes. And that's the first time I should have left. Then he tells me that he's poly and he already has two girlfriends, which is fine. Live your life the way you want to, but maybe that would have been nice to know. But the whole time he's hounding me about my accent, and I know it's kind of crazy, but like he was just really focusing in on any kind of words I was saying weird, and it was making me so self-conscious. And I usually don't get self-conscious, but he was making me so self-conscious. And then I reached over my plate of food and a hair fell off of my shirt into the food and I had to pull it out. Like I had to.
Oh my God.
So I did. And he was like gagging and it was so embarrassing. But I had to pull the hair out, right? Then we split the $30 bill, of course.
Hey.
And as we were walking out, he asked me what my first impression of him was, and I was just going to be nice because I figured I would never see him again. And I was like, I just thought you were really handsome. And I was like, what was your first impression of me? And he said, you have really chaotic energy and crazy hair. And everything that I had been feeling for the past 2 hours culminated, and I started crying. Talk about chaotic energy. I gave this guy a hug, like I couldn't control it, and he was like, I'm sorry, and I was like, it's okay, just good luck in life. So God just wants me to be single forever, and that is perfectly fine. And I just want to say I was crying because I was tired. I was really tired.
Of course you were. Now before I break this down, guys, let me remind you that if you like this comment, okay, drop me a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the bell. If you really like this content, drop me a super chat, and I will read it shortly, probably towards the end. If you really, really, really like this content, like, subscribe, share, and drop me a super chat. Okay, so let me go ahead and react to this absolute nonsense. Away we go.
I'm 40 and I'm single and I live in a van now, so it's probably gonna stay that way.
Okay, let me stop it. Let me stop it right there. Wait, what?
I'm 40 and I'm single and I live in a van now, so it's probably gonna stay that way. But
okay, so right out of the gate, there's a lot to unpack here. Okay, first off, she's 40 and single, which is obviously a red flag. Now, I mean, obviously, this woman is clearly attractive enough to have found a husband by now. Yet, here she is, less than a decade from a half a hundred, and she's still single. Guys, when attractive women in their 30s and 40s are single, there are usually many, many reasons for this. Yes, I know that there are going to be women who say, well, she could be a widow. That's true, she could be, but she's not.
Nope.
Okay, how do I know? I just know. You can just tell, you can tell this woman is not a widow, right? There will also be women who say, well, maybe she's single by choice. No, women in their 40s aren't single by choice. Okay, women in their 40s are single because they have to be, not because they want to be. The decision to be single has been made for them, not by them. Okay? The reason she's single is because the men she wants, they don't take her seriously outside of maybe butt sex, facials, and maybe Dirty Sanchez. And that's the bottom line. Being a 40-year-old and single is not a flex, lady. And, of course, last but not least, she lives in a fucking van.
Really, nigga?
Yeah, nigga. Yes, this chick is straight up homeless, which brings on a whole other set of questions, but we'll table those for now. Only in the West, only in America, only in the Western Hemisphere can a 40-year-old woman who lives in a van actually get attention from persons of the opposite sex. Okay? Women can be absolute losers, and they're fine. They can be illiterate. They can be rude. They can have zero skills. They can have no agency. Nothing of value to add to society. Yet they're inundated with male attention, which in turn leads to sex, relationships, and ultimately the transference of resources from him to her. Now, a 40-year-old man who lives in a van wouldn't dare show his face on TikTok talking about, I went on a date with this chick and XYZ happened. Because I can guarantee you no less than 341% of the comments would be some variation of, what the fuck are you doing dating if you're homeless? Or something to that effect. Not one person would comment on the actual incident because they'd be focused on how the hell this homeless loser who lives in a van managed to even get a date, let alone go on a date. But a 40-year-old who lives in a van, nobody bats an eyelash. Okay? Most people who watch this are probably focused on how attractive she is for a homeless woman. But again, this is the West. And here in the West, we don't call 40-year-old homeless women what we should call them, which is losers. Instead, we'll call her a minimalist or, a person between residences. Then she says this. Then she says it's probably going to stay that way. Why? Why the fuck are you planning on living in a van indefinitely? Okay? Here's some other questions. Where do you use the bathroom? How do you take a shower? How do you cook? Do you eat? I mean, this makes absolutely zero sense. Something about this woman has to be way off for her to be homeless. Okay? Something's got to be off for her to be homeless, living in a van, and having really no semblance of an exit strategy. She just plans on living in this van until she finds someone to rescue her from her bad decisions that clearly led her to being homeless and living in her van. Ay. Let's continue.
I went on a date in Santa Fe, and I can finally talk about it. I walked up to the table, and the guy's looking at his phone, and then he looks at me, and then he looked back down at his phone for like 5 minutes, and that's the first time I should have left.
Okay, so she walks up to this dude. Okay, she walks up to this guy that she apparently matched with on Tinder or whatever dating app she's on. Doesn't say anything. She doesn't say hi. She doesn't say, hey, are you so-and-so? She didn't say anything. She just walks up, stands there. He looks at her, then looks back at his phone. And according to her, she should have left. First of all, lady, you're 40 and homeless, okay? You're not 20 with endless options anymore. A woman in your position, 40 and homeless, can't afford to just turn around and end the date because he gave you the same energy you gave him. Secondly, she says she should have left, which means she didn't leave, which also means that this guy is probably very attractive. If she rolled up on an average-looking dude and gawked at him, and he responded by looking at his phone for 5 minutes, she'd have left. But because he's obviously attractive, she decided to wait around and watch this guy look at his phone for 5 minutes. Now, did she have a timer? Did she have a stopwatch? Right? Did she start a clock when he looked at his phone and then decided to acknowledge, and he decided to acknowledge her again after 5 minutes? Listen. Obviously, 5 minutes is an exaggeration, which is no surprise because obviously women exaggerate everything. But the point is, she is displaying a rare sense of self-awareness. Remember, she said she should have left, but her firmware activated her common sense and said, bitch, you are 40 and homeless. Be glad this dude even swiped right on you. This thought process manifested itself by keeping her right where the fuck she was. Let's continue.
Then he tells me that he's poly, and he already has 2 girlfriends.
He's poly and already has 2 girlfriends. Notice the twinkle in her eye as she discusses the fact that he clearly has a harem of women at his beck and call. Right? Look how turned on she looks. We've all seen Fresh and Fit or the whatever podcast when girls act like they're just absolutely disgusted with men who sleep with a bunch of women, right? They all love to virtue signal and say things like, well, if he sleeps around, he's a hoe, and I'm not interested in that. Or he can't keep his dick in his pants.
It's a no for me, dog.
Yet, to a woman, when actually talking about men in demand and their extracurricular activities with the second sex, their eyes light up like a fucking Christmas tree as if fantasizing about being one of his personal concubines. Look at her. Look at her eyes. She even looks like she's throwing up the peace sign. But something else I'd like to point out is that he actually tells her that he's poly and has 2 girlfriends, which again tells me this dude is attractive, okay? I'll come back to that. But I have said for years that discovery trumps disclosure. In other words, allowing a woman to discover something about you will have a much greater impact on her. Will have a much greater impact on her impression of you than actually telling her. Okay? Again, allowing a woman to discover something about you will have a much greater effect on her impression of you than actually telling her. For example, instead of telling her, I climbed Mount Everest, no, you allow her to discover that about you when she's at your place, right? When she sees a picture of you and your buddies at the summit, she'll then ask you, oh, you climbed Mount Everest? To which you can respond, a couple times, just kind of nonchalantly. Guys, this is what we call chick crack. Okay? Take notes. However, the discovery trumps disclosure rule doesn't always apply, especially when you're attractive. Now, this isn't to say that a woman wouldn't be turned off by an attractive man who does nothing but brag about his accomplishments, right? But women will give that guy, that attractive guy, a lot more latitude in terms of disqualifying him because, of course, he is attractive. Well, the same applies in this case, right? If this dude were average to below average looking, like, say, a guy like me, and I said, I'm poly and I've already got 2 girlfriends, she'd turn right around and head home. Or to her van, which I guess is home, I guess. The point is, she would leave and end the date. So this dude's ignored her for 5 minutes and flat out told her he's fucking other girls, and this woman is still there. This means this dude is far more likely to be attractive than not. I could be wrong, but I seriously doubt it. Let's continue.
Which is fine. Live your life the way you want to, but maybe that would have been nice to know.
Oh, maybe that would have been nice to know, she says. Guys, this would have made a difference, okay? He could have told this chick that he had 10 girlfriends and 4 wives. She was showing up regardless, y'all, okay? She's trying to virtue signal here by implying that had she known that he wasn't monogamous, she'd have flaked on the date. But remember the twinkle in her eye when she talked about his poly status. She said that would have been nice to know. But in her hindbrain, that is nice to know because it means that other women want him. And as we all know, according to the rule of pre-selection, women don't want men that other women don't want. Other women clearly want this guy, which is why this 40-year-old homeless lady wants him.
But the whole time he's hounding me about my accent. And I know it's kind of crazy, but like he was just really focusing in on any kind of words I was saying weird. And it was making me so self-conscious. And I usually don't.
Notice, gentlemen, as I keep it on the big screen here, notice how she's preening herself and playing with her hair as she talks about him teasing her about her southern accent. Okay? She characterized her feelings about the whole thing as self-conscious. Nope. That's not you being self-conscious, baby girl. That is your southern regions getting moist. This dude was running game, sweetheart. This dude was running game. He was running amused mastery, which in a nutshell is talking to you like you're an idiot, mixed in with a little teasing. In this case, he teased you about your accent, which most definitely turned you on, as indicated by your body language, as you regale us with this memory that you were obviously fond of. Guys, it is amazing to me that women can never just admit, I was turned on. Or they can't just say, okay, I wanted to fuck him. No, instead they'll say things like, he intrigued me. Or it felt so weird around him. Or he made me feel so self-conscious. Now, maybe she was a little self-conscious because when you tease a woman about something, her human nature is obviously going to reflect on what she is being teased about. But do not get it twisted, gentlemen. This woman wanted this man to breed her in the worst way. Do not get it twisted. Let's continue.
Get self-conscious, but he was making me so self-conscious. And then
turned you on.
I reached over my plate of food and a hair fell off of my shirt into the food and I had to pull it out. Like I had to.
Oh, well.
So I did. And he was like gagging and it was so embarrassing. But I had to pull the hair out, right? Then we split the $30 bill.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Don DeMarco. Absolutely. Don DeMarco to Don Juan for making her pay her half. Okay? Again, this bitch is 40 years old, lives in a van, and is homeless. He knew better than to waste even $15 on this chick, so good for him. But here's my question. If you are homeless and living in a van, where exactly did you get $15 from? Better yet, how does this chick even make money? Right? I mean, listen, who knows these days? But good for this guy for making this woman pay her fair share. Good for him.
And as we were walking out, he asked me what my first impression of him was, and I was just going to be nice because I figured I would never see him again. And I was like, oh, I just thought you were really handsome. And
oh my God, you gotta be freaking kidding me, dude. So she says she's going to be nice because she figured she'll never see him again. I'm sorry, isn't it supposed to be the other way around? If she thought she would never see him again, she'd be more likely to curse him out or talk shit to him, right? Wrong. This chick wanted this dude in her rectum, and it reflected as much when she told him, I just thought you were really handsome, which is something women never, ever, ever say to men, even if they are handsome. Guys, for this woman to tell this man that he is handsome after he ignored her for his phone, told her he had 2 girlfriends and wasn't monogamous, and gagged at the sight of her own hair in her food, clearly tells me that she wanted this dude to bang her. Okay? After all that, and all she could say is, oh, well, I just thought you were really handsome, tells us all we need to know about how she felt about him. Incredible.
And I was like, what was your first impression of me? And he said, you have really chaotic energy and crazy hair.
Oh, yes, sir. This dude absolutely nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Whoever this dude is knows exactly what he is doing. He told her straight up, he said, bitch, you're chaotic with crazy hair. And again, look at her face. Look at her face as she recites what he told her. Look at her face. His unapologetic honesty is clearly a turn on. She's used to guys telling her that she's beautiful and different and amazing, but this dude told her the truth, and she could not be more aroused. I've said this for years, guys. All masculinity is, at its core, is speaking and acting honestly. That's it. You do what you want, you say what you want, regardless of how women act or feel about it. Okay? Women may not like it at first, but they damn sure respect it. And as we all know, a woman cannot love you if she does not respect you. Now, listen, this chick may have been taken aback by this dude telling her the truth about herself, but in retrospect, as you can see, she is obviously impressed by his honesty and his accurate assessment of her. She's smiling at the camera as if to say, holy shit, how did he know I'm chaotic?
And everything that I had been feeling for the past 2 hours just like culminated, and I started crying.
Oh my
Talk about
God.
chaotic energy. I gave this guy a hug, like I couldn't.
Ay. So not only is she 40, single, living in a van, and homeless, she's an emotional wreck as well. Okay? All this dude did was tell her she had crazy hair, and all of a sudden she loses it. Guys, this is why she's homeless. This is why she lives in a van. This is why she's 40 and single. She has absolutely no emotional control. Okay? Crying in public is a clear sign that somebody ain't right in the head. Let's continue.
Control it. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. And I was like, it's okay. Just good luck in life. So God just wants me to be single forever, and that is perfectly fine. And I just want to say I was crying because I was tired. I was really tired.
Stop the cap.
No, baby girl. No. The reason why you're crying is because you have
emotional damage.
You know, I find it amusing. I find it very amusing when women attempt to lie about their state of mind during any particular crash out. This chick's head was all over the place because she is fucking batshit crazy. But she wants us to believe that she ugly cried on a first date in public because she was tired. And the funny thing is that she even wore sunglasses for this part for good measure. I was just tired. Let me just act like I'm cool, calm, and collected. In the end, guys, this woman is going to be single forever. Yeah, she's going to get run through. Yeah, she'll hook up with random guys. Yeah, she'll bring guys back to her van, I guess, where they'll pound her out and leave her crying because she's tired, and not at all because she regrets giving up the butt to guy number 217, but a 40-year-old woman who lives in a van has so much wrong with her, I don't think we could possibly know what exactly is in this woman's past. And to be honest with you, I don't really think I want to know. Okay, guys, we are now headed to Rumble for breakdown of episode 1 of Perfect Match. We just did episode 31 of Love Island USA right before this. And in case you missed it, you can catch up on all 55 seasons of the dating shows I have broken down on patreon.com/Donovan Sharp, or you can subscribe to my Rumble page if you want to watch for free. It is only free when it's live. So if you want to watch season 3, episode 1 of my surgical play-by-play breakdowns, get your asses over to rumble.com/Donovan Sharp. Let me go ahead and put the link in the description right now. Perfect match. I'm gonna go ahead and put the go ahead and put the link in the description right now. Perfect Match, season 3, episode 1. See you guys over there shortly. Thanks for watching. See you in a bit.